So now let's move on to the next talk of the today. The speaker needs no introduction, but for the formality, I would like to give a brief introduction of Professor Rajalakshmi Pachimuthu. She is a professor in Department of Electrical Engineering and currently a dean student at IIT Hyderabad. Her research interests include wireless communication, wireless sensor networks, UAV-based sensing, embedded systems, cyber physical systems, Internet of Things, converged network modeling, energy efficiency, green communications. And few of her many achievements includes Young Faculty Research Fellowship under Visveswara PhD Scheme for Electronics, IT of Daiichi from January 2016 for a period of 5 years, Digital Trailblazer Award 2016 by India Today in December 2016, Bronze Medal in Seoul International Invention Fair 2016 for ultra compact IoT enabled power monitor devices. Silver Medal in International Innovation Fair IAA 2017 held at Vizag. She also awarded as an India's most inspiring women scientist for the year of 2014 by Engineering Watch. I request Professor Rajalakshmi to take over the section and give a insightful talk for the session. I welcome you, Rajalakshmi ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon all. Thank you for inviting me for this session on open colloquium. So am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, so I think, briefly what I will do when I was asking, what should I talk about to Athira said, you just say what you're doing as your research, research problems that you're handling, very, in a very simple terms, which we will be able to, which everybody in this forum will be able to understand. Okay, so this is what she told me. So I thought, okay, let me just do it because, so let me just share some slides. Maybe is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, but it's
Okay.
not in the full screen format.
It's not in the full screen format.
You can just hide the presenter view. Yes.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, yeah, sure. So basically, as Meenakshi already told, that I work in the area of IoT, CPS, drone-based sensing. So basically, what is that we do? It is we call it as Internet of Intelligent Things. I hope that you know what IoT means. IoT is nothing but Internet of Things. Here, we call it Internet of the intelligent things because here what we do is it is more like bridging of AI and IoT is what is the research area that we are working on. So we have taken multiple research, application areas, so if you see, we worked in UAVs, in agriculture, healthcare, environment, intelligent transportation systems, okay, and low power communications. So these are some of the areas in which we have different funded projects. Okay, so and all these IoT applications, end-to-end systems, we have demonstrated in different application sectors which are in this, which is listed. Okay, so if you see in this specifically today I'll be talking about agriculture and the transportation, okay, which are the very key areas of research, okay, even from the national perspective. So let me just talk about agriculture. So as most of us, all of us agree, agriculture is one of the main sectors that Indian government is also focusing on. If you see here, the research that we do at IIT has, in my lab at least, it is not directly going to the farmers. Okay, it is more like research which enables the agriculture scientist. Okay, so basically the agriculture scientists who are working in the area of breeding, the area, those who are working in the area of, physiology, okay, in agriculture universities are the people for whom we are developing the technology. Okay, then in turn they are the people who develop the, the direct benefits for the farmers. Okay, that is how it is. Like if you ask us, do you daily go and meet a farmer? Okay, your application, is it daily going to the farmer? No, we are working, we are enabling the agriculture scientists who can then, will take the technology and develop, whatever, the crops and other things, disease resistant crops, low water intake crops, which will be more beneficial to the farmers. Okay, that is how the thing is. So if you see, the research here is, I mean, I'll just, without getting into much of a technical detail, I'll just briefly introduce some of the things, which everybody can understand. So from the agriculture perspective, we do something called as high throughput phenotyping. Okay, so when it comes to phenotypes, what do you mean by phenotypes? Okay, actually, there are, I mean, I think the people who are working in the biological area may be knowing about the omics. Okay, there is genomics and phenomic studies, right? So genomics, if you see it, mainly deals with the different breeds or the varieties, okay, of a particular crop or a particular species. Okay, whereas, phenotypes refer to the physical traits of a particular genomic or a particular variety. Okay, so basically these are the two broad under omnics you have genomics and phenomics. So in our case, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to come up with some the technology, the digital technology, okay, using UAVs, which will help, phenomic studies for agriculture scientists. Okay, so why is this important? When it comes to phenomic studies, as I told already, it is more like, studying about the physical characteristics. When I say physical characteristic, what is the plant height, what is the biomass, what is the canopy coverage, okay, so what is the 50% of flowering, or what is the leaf area index, grain count, okay, so all these different types of physical characteristics or physical traits of the plant needs to be actually measured. Okay, so why this is very very important. Okay, so as I was saying, like whenever agriculture scientists need to actually produce a particular variety of seed which is essential for a particular region. Okay, for example, the semi-arid region, where Telangana comes under the semi-arid region. Okay, the breeding scientists actually come up with different varieties of rice. For example, let's take the rice. Okay, they have around 250 or 300 varieties of or 300 varieties. When I say varieties, it refers to the genomic variety. Okay, 300 breeding type, different types of grains. Okay, what they do, they go to the field. Okay, they record, they actually go, sow these different varieties in the field, and then grow that crop, and then they measure the physical traits of each of this breeding varieties, okay, in the field. Okay, so what happens is, for example, let me just show you this, then it gives you much a better picture. So if you see this is the LessiScan platform, and you see many small boxes. Okay, so in these small boxes is what these agriculture scientists, each of this box corresponds to a particular breed of a particular crop. Okay, for example, let's assume it's going to be rice. Then there are around some 300 400 boxes that they have, in which they actually grow go and grow each of this breed. Okay, and they periodically monitor each of this breed, which germinates faster, which has a better crop, what is that density, canopy density, which has a better biomass, which has a better height, and which has better yield. Those kind of physical traits, they keep monitoring from the day of sowing to the full growth stage. Okay, so why do they want to do this? from this study, they come to a conclusion, okay, which is more disease resistant, which is more, giving a good yield, which is, taking less water intake. Okay. From this, they actually come up with a analysis, with the best trait or the best, what is that, best breed, which is suitable. Okay. So physically, in principle, what they do is they go, they crop, they sow this and measure these parameters. Okay. So when they do it manually, okay, what is more labor intensive, more prone to human errors. Okay. There will be repeated because every day they have to do the measurements. Okay. Oh, there will be errors. Okay. Because labors are involved in going and doing the measurements. Okay. So in order to avoid all these kind of things, what we are doing is we are coming up with something called as phenotyping techniques based on drones. Okay. So what we do is we fly the drone mounted with different kind of cameras onto it. Okay. Periodically in the field. Okay. You capture the images of this big field with multiple breeds, so sown in the field. And, then you use the different AI ML techniques, okay, to analyze the different parameters and they give them the results. For example, you say, okay, on this particular date, the crops started germinating. Okay, this so you get a complete picture of the full view of the of all the 300 varieties or whatever is sown there, and exact date of germination, what is the plant height at a particular instant or a particular day. Okay, so different, and what is the canopy coverage, all those things, you can see here, I have listed canopy coverage, yield estimation, 50% of tasseling, filled and unfilled spicklets. All these different types of physical parameters can be measured, which is very, very essential. Otherwise, it is more labor intensive, human error prone, all these things. So this is one research which we are doing, UAV based remote sensing. These are these are the two different drones which we have. You can say this is a DJI Inspire Pro. Here, we have the RGB as well as the multispectral data coming out of this, and this is a hyperspectral camera which is mounted onto the drone. So depending on the trait that we want to analyze, okay, we go and fly this drone in the field. Okay, take the data, develop the algorithm to show, to analyze whatever trait that the agriculture scientist wants on the data, or otherwise on that crop. Okay, so this is, so we collaborate with ICRISAT. So this is the lazy scan platform in ICRISAT. Okay, so and this is with PJT. This is the Professor Jaishankar, Telangana State Agriculture University. So again, we have collaboration with them. So you can see our students flying the drone in the agricultural field of PJTSAU also. So this is broadly the work that is being done. Apart from this, what we have observed when we are flying the drone is, mostly, depending on the weather condition, depending upon the, the stage at which the crop is, it is very essential. The settings of the flight will have to be actually changed. Okay, so basically, we are trying to come up with standard operating procedures. That is, how to collect good quality images, okay, for the different physical traits, from the UAV. Okay, this is an important thing which will be very, very useful for, for any, it's not necessary that a PhD student will have to every time go to the field. Okay, once you develop the standard operating procedure, that is, you say, okay, if after the date of sowing, if you are in the third day, or if you are in the fifth day, or whatever it is, if this is the stage of the crop, and then these are the settings. Okay, at this height you have to fly. If the weather conditions are like this, if you, for example, if you want to actually collect data in the using the RGB camera, it is always preferred to actually collect the data in the, preferable time is from 7 to 9 in the morning time, or from 3 to 4 in the evening time. If we are going to work with multispectral or hyperspectral data, then you can actually prefer the noon time. So these kind of, standard operating procedures are also being worked out. Okay, so we have research scholars, who are actually heavily involved in this activity. We have many people also graduated masters and PhD scholars who are closely working with us in this project in both ICRISAT as well as PJT. Okay, our own PhD and master students. So this is broadly the idea of using UAVs for agricultural purposes in agriculture. In our lab at least. Okay, so basically we try to come up with some standard operating procedures which will help any pilot to collect good quality data, which will be useful for researchers to perform, analytics on the data. That is the first thing. The second thing, after collecting the data, we come up with different, physical trait analysis of the day of the crops, which will again help the breeding scientist in the agricultural university. So these are some of the things related to agriculture. The next again, the one more important thing is, apart from this drone-based sensing, it's also important. Some of the soil parameters like moisture needs to be monitored. Okay, so again, the PhD scholar along with the master scholars in our IIT, they have come up with this kind of soil moisture probes, which you will see here. Okay, along with IoT node, that is, it is based on Zigbee, that is 15.4 standard. You just need to go and actually put this probe in the soil, and it will start communicating the sensor moisture data from the field. Okay, the soil moisture data from the field. So this is again, one important outcome of our own PhDs and master students. Okay, which is again very very useful for agriculture scientists also. You just go and plug this into the soil, and it starts communicating the soil moisture data, okay, to your server in the lab. Okay, so this is again deployed in both of the fields in ICRISAT as well as PJT, which is mainly useful for soil monitoring soil moisture monitoring purposes. Okay, so this is very brief about the agricultural work. Now quickly about the transportation systems. Okay, intelligent and autonomous transportation system. So when we say autonomous transportation, here mainly, we would like to come up with navigation techniques which will, or autonomous navigation techniques or transportation systems which will aid the safe driving. Okay, so that is the main objective. You already know, like, Tihan, we have got a big project in IIT, okay, funded by DST on autonomous navigation. As part of it, many of the activities are going on, and you know that there is a test bed also coming up in our campus, okay, which will help both the terrestrial as well as UAV based navigation technology development in the campus. Okay, so here briefly I'll be talking about one of the sensors, which will be used for perception. So basically, when I say perception, what do you mean by perception? Perception is nothing but, how do you actually, reproduce a complete environment around the vehicle, so that, you will be able to come up with the algorithms which will aid safe navigation in the environment. There are many sensors that are being used, starting from radar. The simplest is camera. Okay, then you have depth vision cameras, like, you have real sense kind of stereo vision cameras. Then you have, what is this, radars. I told radar, I think. Then you have ultrasonic sensors. Then there is something called as LiDAR. Okay, LiDAR is again, I think, it is fully based on laser technique, where, light beams are transmitted from the sensor, and based on the reflections, you try to estimate the depth of the obstacle or the object from the sensor. Okay, that is how a LiDAR works. So why LiDAR? So as I was saying, mainly, LiDAR helps in getting the complete 3D point cloud. Okay, 3D point cloud. When I say 3D point cloud, it is nothing but the 3D 3D complete representation of the 3D surrounding of that camera of the vehicle, on which the LiDAR is mounted. Okay, so basically, if you see, let me just, yeah. So this is the, setup which we are having. You can see this is the LiDAR. You have the, this is the setup which actually helps you acquire the data. And, the LiDAR, let me just play the video. So this is in that junction, which is just the cross junction in our campus. Okay, so if the LiDAR is placed here, and you can see, it's complete 3D representation of the surrounding is got. From the central point, you can actually get the depth measured from the all the objects in this environment. Okay, so it's such a very interesting sensor because you get the complete 3D view as well as the depth, speed, tracking, everything can be actually monitored. Okay. So this is a security post. These are some of the buses. So this is. Yeah, so this is our e-auto. Okay. So again, what do we do with this data? If you see these circles which you see are nothing but the reflections of the LiDAR data or the laser from the ground. So these reflections, all these unnecessary reflections have to be removed. Okay, so different steps involved are being shown, but this is, just to go over, you need to actually remove the ground, then do the object segmentation, distance measurement, because as I was saying before, the LiDAR is such a potential sensor, you will be able to easily track the object, what is it, distance can be measured, speed can be estimated, tracking can be done. So all those things can be done. So that is what is being done here. We have again, a team of students with PhD as well as the master students working on this area from our IITH. Okay. So these are different things. Okay, so again, this experimental setup is done in our campus where LiDAR is placed here, and the most important thing, can the objects that are being identified by the LiDAR be georeferenced? That is, given a position GPS location in the map itself. So that also the students have done, LiDAR along with GNSS. Okay, and they were able to give the location of each of the objects in the map. Okay, which is very, very essential when we are going for navigation purposes. Okay, georeferencing, this is also called as georeferencing. So basically this is a very small representation of the autonomous navigation, which can be developed with one single sensor. When you want the complete vehicle to be autonomous driving vehicle, then multiple sensors placed at different location of the vehicle is used for this purpose. So this is a very brief about the autonomous navigation work that is happening in the lab. Okay. With the help of the students again. And the most important next thing is, the power monitoring. Okay, we had one out of another project funded by, again, METI, we had developed a power monitoring module, IoT power monitoring module. Again, this, went to the next level, with the two PhD students from the lab had, taken it to the next level of, its startup. Okay, they had incubated a startup in this technology of IoT enabled power monitoring. Okay, and the most important is, they have recently got an order with the AP government and have deployed at 65 different locations. Okay, for MSME in AP in 13 different districts. Okay, so which they are doing very well. So the main agenda here, what I would like to say is, it's not only that, we should focus on core research, but also see how the work that we are doing can be taken to the next level of, going to the market, and serving our own people, right? So yeah. So with this, I would like to end. I think it's already 3:30. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for an exciting talk. I think it's helpful for our IIT researchers. Is there any questions we will take up from the audience? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for an exciting talk. I hope our institute currently. Yeah. Is there any question from the audience? Okay. So I hope our institute currently working to solve the global issues, and you are the one of the leading person among them. I hope your research inputs are help our researchers. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Meenakshi. See you all. Bye. All the best.
Thank you.